And we're live. Hey guys, welcome back to Whiskey Charlie, the War Game Chat, our monthly show on YouTube. I'm your host, Mo from Mo's Game Table, and joining me are my two esteemed co-hosts, everybody's favorite Gimp with the Limp, the Gimpy Gamer, Nate Rogers. How's it going, Nate?
One esteemed, and then me.
That
Kevin is
that's true.
esteemed. I'll tell you, I hate church people. I hate them with a passion, and don't take that the wrong way. But
Whoa.
Whoa, this is a
they
War Game
will
Chat. What the hell are
not.
you
No,
doing?
listen, hear me out. They will not stop taking their damn kids to church sick. Because every time we end up in this rut, we go, we take our kids, we put them in Sunday school, we go to service, we get done, and then a couple days later, they're all snotty and coffee and sick and nasty,
This
and
is
then they give it
because
to
you
us.
don't expose your kids to enough germs. That's the problem.
I don't. Maybe
Yeah,
that's
It's
it.
your fault.
They'll do a week
blame
or two. They're fine. Then they get sick, and we stop going to wait for them to get better because we don't want to take our kids when they're sick. And I just wish others would do that. Like, look, if your kids have the sniffles, keep them home. I don't
Don't blame
want that.
Jesus, baby. Don't blame Jesus.
I know.
It's
Jeez,
not,
wow.
It's not Jesus' fault, man. Come on.
It's not Jesus. It's the people who are coming, man. They don't have any goodwill towards their fellow
Hey,
man.
I think somehow we kind of slid just a little bit off the freaking cliff down into
Yeah.
a valley, like into a gorge.
You know what? You know
Off
what you need to do?
script. But hey, let's talk about Jesus and kids who are sick in Sunday school.
You know what you need to do? You need to take your kids out more often, have them lick doorknobs. They'll be good to go.
Yeah, exactly. Let your kids out to play in the dirt, bro. What's up with that?
And
They
the
get out there, whatever they-
non-church hating co-host, the Wargaming Wizard from Oz, Kev Sharp from the big board. How's it going, Kev?
Well, I'm obviously doing a lot better than Nate. I love Sunday school.
Well, that really took a turn for the worst right out of the
I'm
out of the
trying to
gate.
give my kids the white picket fence life, right? The house, the both parents.
You know that's only on
pets,
TV, right?
You know,
Yeah, you know that's
they're
not
going
real,
to
bro.
church on the
Right.
weekend, on the Sundays, doing the family dinners, doing the whole nice life thing, and I can't do it without them getting sick. It's just a pain in the butt.
No, that's part of life, and that's actually good that they get sick because then their antibodies build up. Because
builds their
this is
immunity.
one of the most amazing machines on the planet is the human body. So
Well, you're
Let
probably
it do
right.
its thing.
My wife, she never gets sick. She worked as a what do you call it? The daycare operator there for a long time. Many years she worked in a daycare, and now she never gets sick ever. She's been exposed to everything. I swear, you could expose her to anthrax, she'd live right through it.
of course that music's loud. It's supposed to be. It also means that you probably have your speakers up a little too loud, but still, that's the way to do it.
Come on, John.
How's it going,
Come on,
Jeff?
John. Let's bang that head. Oh, Hexy's here.
Yeah, Hexy's here. Tony's here.
I was watching some of Tony's stuff the other day.
John's here. And we got some little hellos to everybody. So we're going to go through that real quick. Oh, look at that. Tony saying try being a teacher, which is a good point because you have all those snot-nosed kids in your room
Yeah.
and you have multiple different crews all day long. So, yeah.
Oh, yes. How about that?
I could be a teacher, man. I'd kill one to set an example to the others.
Oh, see, there you go. He says that the problem is that you go to church. The problem isn't with Jesus, but with his fan club. That's another way of putting it. Hey, Rich, how's it going? So, have a Bud Light and get light and loafers. Oh, boy.
Oh, we're going there, huh?
Topical.
Wow. Hey, Rich, how's it going?
Man, we're hitting the big topics today.
Chad, how's it going, my friend? And so everybody's just saying hi. We're catching up on everything. Jeff, how's it going, man? And
Hey, Jeff.
so we're going to not be controversial right now. No more. I mean, we started out. We got that out of our system, right, guys?
Yeah. Oh, no, I'll say something bad.
We're gonna
here
probably
soon.
make it worse. So anyway, we're not going to go to Nate right now. We're going to let him get his negative vibes out of his system. Negative waves, man. Got to get rid of them. So we're going to go right to Cap because you were away.
Me? Oh,
Last
yes. Hello. Yes.
You were
Hello.
away
Right.
and not at a government institution for the weekend where you turn yourself in and they let you back out on Monday. None of that stuff. But it was one of those things.
I paid bail.
We don't talk about that anymore. No, but it was where you went to a con and you got to play some really cool stuff, including a game that is in development that you're going to be testing.
Yes, I did. So I had a lot of fun. So I guess a lot of the guys who are on this, and in fact, I know that some of them were there, know about the Advanced After Combat guild and the podcast and all the rest of it. So big shout out to those guys, to Dave Morpin and Jason and the gang and everybody. But Mitch Land runs a conference or a con in St. Louis, and so it's called. I think it's called Donkey Kong is the official name of it.
SwoleCon.
I called it SwoleCon because that was one of the names that was floated, and I liked it. It had this big, like, muscular donkey, and that was like the play monster games or go home type of thing. So anyway, I went to that and got to. So there were a whole bunch of great games there. There was a full session of Last Blitzkrieg with all the maps. There was a massive Lace Wars game. There was not Empire in Arms. Some Napoleonics big game from One Small Step. I forget what it's called. And then there was also what was the other large game? Oh, GTS from
Nice.
The British Beaches. So they did the full and actually played the whole campaign and finished it. Did that, and then we were going to play Deadly Northern Lights. We had some challenges and issues with players, and so Ralph and I, who's the developer of the Next War series, he and I pivoted and we decided to play Next War Iran. And so I have not touched Next War for over a year and a half, and we dug into that. And I think that game's scheduled to be P500 and printed and all that sort of nonsense 2024, probably middle of 2024, something like that. But we got to get 6-7 turns in and got some solid gameplay in and all the rest of it, and it was fun. I enjoyed it.
And you got a series of videos coming out to cover it too, right?
You're still on mute, buddy.
No, I know. I was just passing a little message on to my wife, who's graciously cooking my dinner in the background, and I'm sure that you can hear the wonderful the sounds of homemade cooking,
kind of the ambiance of home cooked meal,
white picket fences and loving relationships. Here we go. So anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so I've got a 4-video session coming out. I think one drops tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning. And I got to play some Lock and Load with Tony from Tony's Board Game Live, and hung out. I think there were a whole bunch of people who were bloggers or podcasters or whatever the case may be. So nice. It was pretty cool. Little 4 days. I think I went Wednesday through Saturday. I was there. Anyway, a long answer.
OSS War and Peace is the question.
That's the one. That's what it is. War and Peace. I couldn't remember. Yeah.
So with all those content creators there, we should see a lot of content, right, Tony? I know we already heard from Kev. He's going to have multiple videos talking about Next War, and I'm sure other stuff as well. But what about you, Tony? What are you going to have?
I'm not sure if Tony's going to be sharing his experiences with Lock and Load Tactical with me.
Was it bad? Like as in you got your ass kicked?
Oh, well, he may be new to armored warfare, and I helped him learn a little bit about it the hard way. Yeah.
So basically
were you playing the new one?
We were actually playing Bitter Harvest, exactly, yeah. So we ran an all-tank scenario, and
you thought tanks could take a lot more damage than they could.
I think because one hit, one kill type of thing. But he learned a few things, and I think he needed more tanks, is what it was.
Hey, and did you try the new rules? The turret destroyed, mobility destroyed, stuff like that. I haven't tried those yet, so I don't know if they're.
I have used them where appropriate, and I'm not a fan of them. But I like the game as it is. I don't like all this extra.
It's too much.
Well, it's just a bunch of extra die rolling, and not a whole lot happens, right? So let's move on and play the game the way it was made, and it's worked for a long time the way it is, and tuning it and tweaking it is awesome, but let's not fundamentally change so that when you go back and play the older scenarios, that all of a sudden they don't work anymore, which I have experienced with some of the rules. Yeah.
See, now I'm curious because I have not played with those rules at all, and I can't even recall them off the top of my head, but I know that there's some weirdness. I can't remember what it was exactly, but I thought there was some weirdness with those armor rules that I was like,
right.
Wait a minute. you get a turret hit and it's still, it's still in the fight. It's like a turret hit generally. I mean, yeah, you
Yeah.
can survive a turret hit theoretically, but if at minimum you're going to have damage moving the turret,
Right.
traversing the
Right.
turret.
Right.
So then it's
Right.
basically a stug at that point.
Right. Well,
Obviously,
and it's like OST had the same issue, right?
yeah,
When they released their tank game, where you kept getting MG hits, right?
yeah,
And nothing happened, nothing else happened. It's like, well, I've shot that KV-1 4 times. I rolled like a boss, but I hit the MG, and so the MG's out, and it's still not dead. So
yeah.
same thing for any tank, but track hits and stuff like that.
They
So I
need to
think
do it like BattleTech does, where you start moving it internally.
right,
Basically,
right,
you
right.
take out the outside armor and then you move internally. It's like, well, you took out the
There you go.
the machine gun. Okay, well now it pierces through the tank commander's turret. The cupola, I
Right.
should say,
Right.
at that
Everybody's
point
dead.
because that's already taken out. So
Right.
you can do something like that if you wanted to.
I could see like just including the track hits, right? So lose mobility and just stop there and not worry about the turret destroyed, turret damaged, what mobility law, whatever it was. I forget it. It had something like 6 or 7 new counters for all the different types of stuff. I would probably just go with the track taken out and leave the rest of it.
Yeah. I don't use them. I like lock and load tactical for what it is, the way it is. If I want to play a more detailed, nuanced game down in the weeds with a lot of dice rolling and stuff like that, I'll play Panzer for World War II. But
Yeah,
generally speaking, when you hit a tank and you get that penetrating hit, so however difficult it was to get that based on armor and your shots and all that and the
sure.
dice, it's going to die pretty quickly, right? So I like that mode of combat, and Panzer does that. They do all that side and left and right and top and bottom and all this business, and 2 damages or a kill. And here it can take a little bit longer, and I just think
Yeah,
it takes away from the one of the great things about lock and load tactical, which is the cadence of the play and the richness of the narrative. So I avoid it at the moment. I may change my mind.
You mean it slows it down too much instead of just impulse back and forth, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. I mean, come on, roll the dice. I missed. Okay, next shot. Now I'm going to shoot my MGs. Or okay, I killed it. Boom, you're dead. Put a wreck marker on. Your activation. Off you go. Right.
yeah.
So, now I got to roll again. What is it? It's I took out the something. Put a marker on. Oh, good. Another marker.
Yeah, and that's the thing about armored warfare. That is, it's really simple. You're basically roughly there's you can get into more nuance, but roughly it's going to be either shrugged off by the armor in World War II, because it doesn't have penetrating value. It just hits the slope at the right angle. It fires off, whatever. And even in modern times, you might get a glancing blow on the ERA or something like that. But modern's different because basically if you connect, you're gonna kill it more than likely if it's a tank on tank round.
Right.
If it's anti-tank on tank, it's gonna kill it. You're gonna get one of 2 things. You're either gonna get a mobility kill or you're gonna get a vehicle kill. So
Right.
even
Exactly.
if the crew's not completely dead, they're probably gonna have to bail. So
Right.
that at minimum the tank's out of the fight.
Right.
For-
And that's what I love about that about MBT, right? Just
Yeah.
like when you penetrate, you're penetrating by plus of the number of penetration points you have against the armor. It's like plus 20. That's slicing through button, you're dead.
Exactly. Game over. The plasma jets just took you all out and liquefied
It's
you.
game
Now
over, dude.
we can scoop you up and send you home to mom in a glad bag.
We need to make sure we
Yes.
mention that this is all expansion related, so it's not directly tied to
Yeah.
any of the core games.
Oh yeah, it's not core.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Valor.
optional.
Yeah,
yes.
Valor
It's only
13.
in the yes. And I played with those rules in that module. It's not in the base module. But I think it would be cool for, let's say if they did a World War One module, and because that's the early tank era, and maybe they're trying to work out,
Where people could
everyone's
outrun
trying to work
tanks.
out, where to shoot tanks, right? Because no one knows,
Sure.
and so who knows? So it could be cool there, but not
Yeah.
for World War Two.
Yeah, no. Once you get to World War II, especially later World War II, it's everybody had more. I would say there's more parity across the board. It was still in the Germans' favor to a degree, but it was more parity across the board than it was early war, and especially early to mid war. And then you have modern era, which is, you're talking different vehicles altogether. You're talking different weaponry, different ranges, everything. It's just like watching Fury. Fury, sure, that tiger is really going to run out and take on those Shermans. It doesn't need to. It's going to let you come at it. It's going to pick you off as you come towards it.
That guy would have been backing up the whole time because they couldn't penetrate him from the front at all.
No, he would have just sat there and let him come in and just drilled them. The only accurate thing in that scene was as they were backing up, they popped smoke in his face. They blocked their view. That was accurate. Aside from that, it's like, yeah, we're going to take off or we're going to surround them. Okay, yeah, that you want to get behind them, but it was like, you're not going to charge at a tiger across open ground. No. I mean, it's no, unless you have to know,
But that's a real tiger, right?
Was it? Was that a real tiger they using it?
Yeah, wasn't it some other tank then mocked up as a tiger? I thought.
No, it's a real tiger from World War II.
That's pretty cool.
They
nice.
Damn, there's a name of it, and I could have told you, but now I can't remember.
Aren't there like two of them running in the world?
I think there are two operational in the world.
Another one, but that one is a specific World War II tiger that they got permission to use in the movie. So yeah, cool. It's actually a real World War II.
Oh, John Sy says it was a real tiger.
Nice. Yeah. Well, we know it wasn't 007, that's for sure.
And yes, Chad, Mo wasn't a tanker; he was a cook.
Yeah, cooked crunchies. Yes, I was a tanker actually. Unlike Gimpy, who's his jealousy of main gun size is just very obvious.
Yeah, what can I say? I wish I was in a tank. I wouldn't be walking with a cane now.
True.
Well,
lightly armored Humvee was not as resistant to a landmine as I would have preferred.
This is true.
Was that an up armored Humvee, or was it just a regular?
The Humvee I was in, it was an A3. It was the only actual up armored Humvee that we had on the lot. The rest of them were ones that we had welded plate steel to.
Right.
And if I had been in any other Humvee besides that one specific one, I'd be dead. They
were hosing you out.
Yeah, it would have obliterated. It just would have exploded. But that one had 4 inches of composite steel around the cabin. So we were able to withstand the blast. I mean, we took shrapnel and stuff, but we survived. You can tell from I'll show you a picture later, but it blew everything apart except for that armor bit that was around us. So
that's cool. Well, dude, we're glad you're here because otherwise we'd have no one to pick on, and that would be
exactly. So
what? I would be the butt of the jokes, right? So it would suck.
That's it. Yeah, Tiger 131. Yeah.
That is. That's what it was called. That's it. Yeah, Bovington. Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, I got to catch up on these comments here. There was one up here I wanted to get to. We have Christoph saying that just starting with war games, welcome to the crowd, and already 30 games on his wish list. I said DVG, Enemy Action Kharkov, Next Combat 1, and the Lock and Load game. So you got a good start there already with 30 games on your wish list. Good. Well, I mean, it depends. Okay, so the DVG games, I'm curious which ones you got. So if you could post that in there, Christoph, we'd like to know that.
Yeah. Enemy Action Kharkov. What is he playing right now? I'd be curious.
Yeah, what are you playing now?
She was trying to be on.
Wife is coming in.
Oh, boss lady, and you complain to me about my wife cooking, and your wife just barges in there and causes trouble.
My kids always go to bed around this time, so they like to come in and say goodnight.
Come on, let's see the kiddos.
Here, come in. Say goodnight real quick. All right. Tell them goodnight.
Night.
Love you. All right, I'll see you later, baby.
I'm in a tank right now. In an alcohol tank.
That's awesome.
Fury, more like boring. That is true. It had parts that were okay.
Yeah.
But yeah.
If you watch it for what it is, it's a movie, right? It's like Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, it's like T-34. You watch T-34. That it's on YouTube. It's a Russian movie. It's fantastic for action.
Oh, the ghost tank one.
Is it the Ghost Tank one, or was
Is
it?
it
Oh, it's the
where it's the one surviving 230? Oh no, it's the
no T-34 is the guy. They get this one crew and they put him in a T-34 that is like roomier than a Winnebago. I mean, they've got like people inside. I was like, why don't we have a
I think
cookout
it's-
while we're in here?
yeah. I think I've seen it.
Look right there.
It's just hilarious. So Chad was a grunt too, and then Ken says Ken. Yes, I did say Ken, not John, because it's the ongoing joke with me and John C. He says Mo, I say Ken because he looks like Ken T because Ken is Philippine just like he is, and that is the ongoing joke. It is no disrespect. John knows that, and it's an ongoing thing with us. Tiger 131 was preserved at the Tank Museum in Bovington, England. It was the only operating Tiger tank in the world. This tank was used in the 2014 film Fury. First time for the real Tiger. That's pretty awesome. What else do we got here? Oh, yeah, they had a mocked up one in Saving Private Ryan. They do that in all of them.
That's what it was.
You can usually tell by the suspension, too. And that's
Yeah.
true. Be careful, Chris, before you know it, 300 and you wonder what happened. That is very true. Now, this one right here, Beast. This is a fantastic tank movie. This is actually a pretty accurate movie, too. It's one that if you are interested in tanks and the Afghan war with the Soviets, it's definitely one to check out because
I've
it's really
seen
interesting.
that. I think I've seen that, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. I can't remember
That's
the
not
guy.
the one there in a
the guy's name.
T-34, is it?
Is it? I'm trying to remember. Is it Charles Durning that's in that? Or I forget now. The other guy, I can't remember his name, but I can think of their faces. Someone else will go out there and look up the IMDb and put who's in the movie up there for us, I'm sure. But it is definitely a great movie.
No, we gotta see
White
it.
Tiger is the ghost one.
Yeah, I actually, as bad as that movie was, I liked it.
Well, there's nothing wrong with having a movie
Right.
that is not accurate. Be good, as far as enjoyable.
It just was entertaining,
Exactly. I mean, there's some fun lines and things like that about Fury. At least the tank commands were accurate, which I thought was pretty cool. So at least they got that part, But I thought it was interesting, a different take on things to have that, and even Saving Private Ryan is not exactly 100% accurate.
Well,
So
none of
Christoph
them are
says-
100% accurate.
Lanzerath Ridge, Warfighter Modern, Special Forces, and Thunderbolt Apache Leader. So that's actually a good mix of games right there. Lanzerath Ridge is one of the Valiant Defense series from David Thompson, and that is a really interesting and fast, easy to play solitaire system that he's got going there. Warfighter is another one that's actually fun, and then Thunderbolt Apache Leader is very well regarded by a lot of people.
Should we mention the Kickstarter they've got going on now?
We're going to go back to this for a second. This is actually
We could-
something that John actually started. But no, this is, he's saying, is it because we're both Asian? You can't tell us apart. I can tell you two apart. I've met you both in person. I know both of you guys. And he wears glasses, you don't. So that's how I can tell you guys apart. Ha ha.
Come on, look,
That sounded a little more racist than it probably should have to some
No,
people that
it's
don't know
fine.
us and
It's
don't realize we're joking.
right?
Well, here's the
to
funny
them,
thing.
They
So
can't tell white people apart, right? I've heard that for them it's the
Exactly,
same problem that we have, right?
exactly. So there was a guy I knew, and we'll not worry about how I knew him, but there's a guy I knew that was in Asia getting on a bus, and he was asking at a conference, and he was getting on a bus to go back to the hotel. And it was all the conference attendees, and he said, "Hey, did so and so and so and so turn up?" And the Asian bus driver goes, "I don't know, you all look the same to me." So it happens in multiple races. It's okay.
See, that's why if anything ever happens to me, I'm moving out to like Japan, and it's just going to be a smorgasbord as far as I'm concerned. Bunch of beautiful women as far as the eye can see.
So the cast for Beast was George Zunza, Jason Patrick, and Steve Bauer. And that was the guy I couldn't remember. It was George Zunza. That was the one I was thinking. It actually started when Mark Herman had mistaken him for Ken at WBC. And I mentioned to you when you were interviewing him. Okay, so you did start it, though. So it was not.
That's funny.
But that was the whole thing. So, yeah, that's actually a great set of games you got there, and he's got EA Kharkov on the table right now.
That's
And
nice.
that's good. But if you're trying to figure out the game, one thing to remember, and this is directly from John Butterfield's mouth himself, don't try to play the solitaire game yourself, without any experience with the game. Learn the 2-player game first, then go to the solo modules, because
Really?
it'll make it easier. Yeah, because all the basics, the basis of the game is based on the 2-player, and it'll make it easier to go into the solitaire things.
Well, Kharkov is easier than Ardennes.
It is. And, we also have 3 different videos for that game. We have the 2-player, the German solitaire, and the Soviet solitaire that we did for the learner plays. So.
Is it still chip ball for combat res?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's great. I love it. I gotta say, Kharkov is outstanding in the way that it plays, because that chip ball mechanic gives the ability to account for things that you just can't with dice and modifiers, right? I know you guys.
But anyway, I'll agree to disagree, but sure.
Now, this is a good point that George Zunza played Cobb. He played Chief of the Boat in Crimson Tide. However, he did look like the chief who ate the boat in Crimson Tide, because he was a fairly rotund fellow, but he's a good actor, really good actor. I always liked him.
That's the one that had what's his name, and Denzel Washington, right?
Yes.
Right, where they're in the sub and they're trying to figure out if they want to launch or not.
Yep.
Is that the
that was
Crimson
a real
Tide?
good movie.
So who's
That
the
was a
guy
really
that
good
they're
movie.
talking about? Or
Chief of the Boat.
I don't know who the chief of the boat is.
If you remember the movie,
he was an Asian guy.
He was the heavy set guy, the very
That
heavy
guy.
set guy.
Wait, that was a white guy.
Yes. No, you're thinking of the cook who died, and the captain was saying it was his weight. It was a bad heart. No, it wasn't. It was the smoke inhalation. But Chief of the Boat is the guy I was talking
I'll
about.
have to go back and look at the cast again, because I remember a fat white guy, or maybe I'm thinking
That
of
was Chief of the Boat.
I thought.
So,
Okay, never mind. I'm thinking of a different thing. It's been a while since I've seen that movie.
So, but it's a
It's
great
an old
flick.
movie. It's more.
And
your
speaking
time.
of Denzel, they just released the trailer for Equalizer 3 today.
Ooh, I want to see that.
That's going to be awesome.
Oh, really? I need to watch that.
Yeah.
It's not
That
John
looks
Wick,
really
but
good.
it's pretty good.
John Wick's fantastic, but
Haven't seen it yet, so no spoilers.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen 4 yet either. But what I want to see is at the end of it, because they're saying this is the final chapter for Equalizer 3. Someone needs to figure out a way to get
tie 'em
John
together.
Wick and McCall to hook up and have like everybody go
nice.
against them. That would be awesome.
That would be cool.
John Wick's awesome, but they've got another movie coming out that looks like, was it that Finnish version of John Wick set in like World War II?
Sisu.
Oh yeah, dude!
Yeah.
You see that guy? He's got like a shield and all
Yeah.
that bullshit, and he throws the mine. It lands on the guy's helmet and blows
Yes.
up.
It was
Yeah,
way
the-
over the top, but I loved it.
Yeah, it looks
like,
it
corny
looks
action
epic.
shit.
It looks so funny, hilariously epic. I want to watch it. So
Yeah, he's standing there holding
John
like
Wick
a,
on the Eastern Front.
yeah, shield up and blocking the machine gun rounds and then taking
Ting
them
ting
all
ting
out.
ting ting ting.
Yeah, that looks so good.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
a director's
I see
cut
that
of
one.
Crimson Tide is a deleted scene with Denzel and Cobb go back and forth about his weight problem. Then they go and get a burger at the galley. Now I gotta have to see that if I can
Well,
find
probably
it.
is a lot of fat, Navy guys running around, a bunch of fat Army guys running around. Look, when I,
I
was
think there's
deployed,
fat in
man,
every branch.
no, not in every. Well, there were a
Not in
couple
the
fat
Marines.
Marines. I can't say anything. I told you we had that one guy that ate his way out of the Corps. He literally gained weight until they kicked him out. That was his sole goal. He didn't want to get deployed again, so he decided instead of popping for drugs, he would just eat.
Wow.
Wow, that's
They
one way
gave
to
him
do it.
chance after chance, and he told them, like, how fat do I have to get before you guys kick me out? Because that's how big I'm going to get. By the time he was done, his camis looked like spandex, dude. He was like,
What did they get him with?
It was bad conduct to
So they did give him a big
What
chicken
did-
dinner, not OTH.
failure to. It's not failure to adapt, but failure to something. Failure to not be a fat and nasty person. I
Should have
forget.
thought of that before you joined up. You do realize what the job of the Marine Corps is, right?
We deployed
Right,
once,
right.
and he didn't want to deploy again. So he decided he was going to eat his way
Well,
out.
you don't get a choice in that, right?
Yeah.
So,
You had the choice the first time when you enlisted. So after
Yeah.
that, it's like,
Yes,
hey.
dumbass.
Well, I'll
Yeah.
tell you, there was a different mindset. That first time we deployed, all the guys were excited. I was the same way. Everybody was real excited and, gung ho to go. And
Adventure into the unknown, yeah.
yeah, the second time I deployed, you could tell who had been the first time and who hadn't been, because
Right.
the ones who hadn't been had that excitement, and the ones who had
Right.
been, we weren't excited this time. We knew where we were going this time. We're like, no,
Right. Well,
we just want to come back.
that's warfare, right? That's what it's about.
Yeah,
True. Yeah, it's very true.
you know.
So, what have you been playing, Gimpy?
Actually, I had a little pal next to me.
Okay, so now that he's off screen,
Got sent this one. The
Can't see
Julius-
anything, man. You got
I know, it's not-
your bitter harvest Nazis up
There
there.
we
We
go.
can't see.
Julius Caesar.
nice.
Second edition.
This is Columbia Games, Block
Yeah.
Games. They got a Kickstarter going on about this, and I'm not big into block games, but block games are actually growing on me a little bit. So I've
Right.
been playing with this one. It was kind of interesting. They have a different way that they do some of their games. Some of them are area, some of them are hexen counter type or hexen block type, and this one is what they call like roads. So it's instead of going to areas, you're trying to control cities that are on the map. So stay tuned for that. I'll have a video up on that.
So have they changed it then from the first edition? Because I played the first edition one. They sent me an email asking if I wanted to do the interview free copy thing, and I'm kind of like, sure, but have you read the rules yet?
Yeah,
Do you
I
know?
just got done reading the rules. I
Okay.
watched the tutorial that they had referenced,
Cool.
and as far as I know, nothing is different. Maybe improved components, but the rules don't seem any different. The
Okay, I'll
the
have to check
tutorial
about that.
video,
All right.
I mean, was spot on with the rules. So I think this is like just the second edition,
Right.
maybe
Right. Okay.
touched up components.
Interesting. Yeah.
And then
Cool. What else, mate?
we got Onus.
What is
one's-
that?
That's coming
Hold
up.
that up.
We've
Hold
talked
that
about
closer.
this one.
The onus is on us.
This is
Expansion
the one
pack
that's
or
the card
something?
game. The card game, remember? It's
No.
That's that card battle game, right? Where you set up the cards in the middle and you fight over them.
Yeah,
the battlefield.
Didn't you guys do it? You guys did a session without me. I don't think I was there for that.
No, we didn't do a session, but I think I bought like the first edition of that game when it came out several
yeah.
years
This was second edition. It's the one where
Yeah, I have no
you've got
idea.
like phalanxes and cavalry and elephants, that whole type thing. But instead of being represented by a counter or a miniature, you're using cards. So the cards have the stats.
Look what the cat
on
drug
them.
in.
Hey, Stuka!
in Louisville.
There he is.
Louisville, what? Louisville, Kentucky?
He's relocating his younger son there. Outstanding.
That's actually not too far from me. Stuka, if you drive the 6 or 8 hours, I can't remember which, east, you're welcome
And
to
John-
come by.
John says he has the expansion to your game, Onus.
Anus. No, it looks like it's going to be really
Tough
fun.
crowd.
I think I'm going to enjoy it because it's all about phalanxes and trying to, maneuver your troops and that type of gameplay. Archers, cavalry charges, shield walls, the whole nine. But I like how it's represented with cards. So as soon as I get done with Julius Caesar, I'll be doing that one because I'm finishing up. I already finished up with Fighters in the Pacific, which they do have a Kickstarter going on now, Fighters of Europe. If you guys,
Nice.
Oh, that's right. You've been doing that mini
Yeah.
game with Fighters in the Pacific.
no, it's not a minis game. The,
Well, okay,
the
whatever.
planes
It
are
looks like a
represented
mini.
by counters. Similar.
To me, it looks like a mini game. So it has little tiny pieces that are
Yeah.
like, a carrier is 2 hexes long, and you've got little airplanes you fly around. It's a mini game.
It's the rules are similar enough. And the one side of the counter is low altitude, and the other side's high altitude. But it works really well. Plus, they can keep the cost down since instead of using miniatures, they're using counters. So they can have the core game cost like $50, which is really good for the amount of gameplay that you get in it. I combined it with my 3D printer, so I actually did have miniatures for the carriers.
Oh, is that what you
Nice.
did? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
Cool.
it worked really well. The counters actually fit perfectly because you're supposed to be able to fit 3 airplanes on their counter of a carrier, and I could fit 3 on my miniature that I printed out. So it worked really well. I was kind of hoping they might see that and say, "Hey, Gimpy, here, we'll send you a copy of Fighters in Europe so you can talk about it." But I didn't get the video up soon enough. So, yeah.
So Christoph already going with the expert level right here. He's playing the advanced game, and he's just new to war games. He said playing Memoir 44 against his girlfriend.
That's a classic.
So that's smart to get the girlfriend involved, because then she's on board. Even if she's not playing, she'll support
the big collection.
Yeah,
their bedroom is his. No negotiation.
Exactly. Well, you need more room for your games. Oh, nice.
Well, honey, how are we gonna play Epic Memoir 44 if we don't have a big table?
This is true. This is true. Get her involved, get her into it, and then she'll be like, "Oh, we need to play this. We need to get another couple over, and we'll play boys against girls."
Yeah.
Stuff
let's not go to bed. Let's stay up and play a game. What?
Did I ever tell you the story of trying to teach the wife how to play Warhammer 40,000? Like, she didn't understand.
You tried to teach her?
She didn't understand there were dice in the game. And I'm like, well, how do you think that we played the game against each other? And she's like, I thought you just lined them up against each other and went pew, pew, pew. And, like, I got you.
Wow.
Like, it's not toys, huh? That's not how this works. You know, there's an actual game. And she was just mind blown that there was an actual game and measuring rulers and dice and rules involved with it. She literally thought we just made cute little dioramas for the kids to play with.
But isn't Warhammer pretty much like it's dice with 5s and 6s?
Yeah.
I couldn't hear you toned out.
Isn't Warhammer, for all intents and purposes, isn't it buckets of dice as you hit on 5s and 6s?
Pretty much. I mean, that's what
that was my impression of seeing it too. Yeah.
They're coming out with a 10th edition now, which just
to sell more product.
Yeah. They change it just to change it now.
Don't people ever wake up to that?
Urban Operations, baby.
Is that?
I know you got yours the other day. Twilight 2000 Urban Operations. That came in yesterday.
Yep.
And Kev got his in, I think, on Saturday.
Yep.
So nice. It's
set in really
Krakow.
Cool.
So yeah.
Did you see all the maps and stuff?
Oh man, I couldn't believe how many maps there were in this thing. I was like, damn, there was like so many maps.
I'm so pumped. Yeah, I can't wait.
That's going to be pretty awesome. And
we still haven't played the first one. I mean, what are you talking about?
Well, this is just an expansion.
I know.
It's not a second edition or anything. But I'll tell you what, Free League is really impressing the hell out of me. Their quality of their stuff is fantastic. The art is amazing. And they're just pumping it out on a regular basis, and they're giving you support. Like, if you buy the hard copy, you get like a discount on the digital version of the game, so that way you can play it online with your friends, things like that, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
So
pre-release before it ships as well.
Yes,
so
and the minute you buy it, you get the PDF, and then you get updates of the PDF as it's released, and then of course you get the hard copy when it comes out. So I mean, they're doing it right.
They have all the apps for it as well, so all the maps are preloaded into that app. I haven't downloaded any of those things because I just don't use them at the moment. I do it all. I'm just playing solo just to kind of get a story going, so it's kind of fun. But
true,
it's interesting.
So Stuka Joe is saying, check out 12 Hours at Malim, new tactical game of the German assault to take the airfield. Publisher is Snafu.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Did I mispronounce that? Is it not Malim? Is it Malame?
Hex encounter with action point. Looks like some sort of action point system.
Okay.
Oh, everyone's going to go to the internet, to the cloud.
Yeah, I'll have to look.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to look at that.
Okay, thanks, Nick. That really tells me. Is it Malim? Malame. See, now that's it right there. Malimi? Is that what it is? Malimi? So that's the key. Malimi.
Malimi. Where is it in France or where is it?
Mole. I'm not sure. Snafu is a Spanish publisher. The game is in English, so that's great.
I'm surprised that
Christoph, now I have 31 games on the wish list. No, we haven't even gotten started yet on getting you to. We'll hit you up to 40 before the night's over.
Look, you need to check out some of our videos because I know I've done some. Mo's done some. I think Kevin's done some. Like top, whatever, top solitaire, top hex encounter, top small. Check those videos out. You'll have a list of 100 games worth getting.
You won't have any top games from me. I never do those videos.
I thought you had.
Everyone's, I've gotten my chops busted for not doing my top 10 games of this and my top 5 of this. I just never do them because my top games this month will be, if I give you my top 5 games of 2022 this month, I would probably come up with next month or in 6 months, that really wasn't that 3 of those games really shouldn't have been in that list. Here's the 3 that should have been in that list.
Right,
I'll change my mind. So I don't do that.
Even my missus has done a top 10.
But plus, it's hard if you don't play them all. It's really hard to it's not because you see some guys just punch out lists, and I would be reluctant. I like to say these are the games I enjoyed the most in the last 12 months, and that's my top 10 for the year, top 10 game plays or experiences. But that's better. Yeah.
Kev, I kind of got to agree with you on that because I remember for last year I did my top 5 of the year. And one of my rules was it had to be something that I played, right?
Right.
And I see some of these guys doing my top 10, my top 20 or whatever of, 2022, 2023. And I'm like, there's no way that you played every single one of those games. You might have opened it. You might have fudged it.
I read the rules, kind of.
Right.
Yeah. But there's no way you played every single one of those games,
Right. It's like if I said to you that Next War Around was going to be one of my top games for the year, I've only played 6 turns of it, so it would be hard for me to justify it unless I really thought it was exceptionally good based on what I'd seen so far, because I haven't experienced the whole spectrum of the game, and it's a type of game where it might actually take, if you play it properly, unlike I did, it might take the Allies 5 turns before they actually send any boots on the ground into a round because they're shaping the battlefield, right? They're bombing the crap out of stuff and using cruise missiles and gaining control of the seas and all that sort of stuff. So you haven't really experienced any of the game. So for someone to turn around and say, "Oh, it's my favorite" after 1 play or half a play or whatever, that's tough unless you're like a mega fan of the whole system and stuff like that.
It's really going to depend on the game. And it gets pulled away. No, it's going to depend on the game because, right? What's that one? The Civil War one. The
most fearful sacrifice.
Yeah, most fearful sacrifice. I did something like 12 videos on that game. Right now, in the grand scope of how much of the battle did I get to, I didn't get to a huge amount of it, but I did cover a huge portion of the game. Right, I filmed hours. Of this game. So I could honestly say it was good without experiencing the full 3 days because I had experienced a good portion of the game. Does that make sense? Right?
Yeah.
And so it depends on the size of the game. A game like Next War is going to be rather large. So a couple of turns of Next War might be equivalent to 20 turns of a different game that's
sure.
rather short.
Yeah. I think, for something like Next War Iran, for example, to talk about that, it would be proper to say, it wouldn't be proper to say, oh, this is my, the best game I've played or whatever. But it would be very proper to say, if you felt this way, to say, it's one of my most anticipated games for next year. Definitely because I'm excited what it has, and I'm excited to experience more of it, things like that. But that's one of the reasons. One of the reasons why I'm not going to sit down and do a list, because I don't like to give lists on games without having played them deeply enough, and I don't think we play war games deeply enough, often enough. I love NATO. I don't feel like I've played that one as deeply as I should.
But we don't get the chance to do that, right?
True. There are other things that get in the way, and then of course, if you're doing content creation, you have to be on that constant.
You're a real YouTuber though, dude. You put out the content.
What? Like you don't? Are you talking to me or Mo?
I was going to say.
I'm talking actually to both of you. Like so. I mean, I'm saying you guys you'll defer to getting good quality, high quality content out over, to a certain extent, it seems to me, based on what I see, to versus what am I trying to say here? Versus say just going deep diving and playing like some game 4 times and going, oh, it's the best thing, and just going after it, right? So you know what I mean, right?
But
So
there's
me,
room
I
for
just kind of
both.
I meander around and shit happens.
Actually,
Sometimes.
people wouldn't watch you if they didn't like what you're putting out, right? There's room for different types, right? It doesn't have to be all of one or all of
People
something.
turn
I
into
agree.
Kev for 2 things. People turn into Kev, well, 3 things actually, because he's a notorious asshole. Number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2, because he likes to burn games, and number 3, actually that would be the second one. Number 3, because he likes to execute dice. So anybody who's watched Kev's channel long enough knows exactly what I'm talking about.
You know, I actually burned a game recently myself, and I felt bad about it because I almost felt responsible in a way.
I felt like I was in the middle of an Old Spice commercial there for a second.
That wasn't
With the
me.
whistling sound.
It's the fucking dishwasher or the oven
That's
or
your
one of the 3
dishwasher?
these stupid LG, Samsung, Korean crap that keeps going off all the time. It's unbelievable.
Don't call her that. She has a name.
So you were saying before I cut you off. Nate, sorry.
Yeah, I burned Sniper, the Compass's recent game, and I was saying that I wouldn't recommend that one. And I felt bad saying it because I had a preview of it, and I felt like I had let them down in a way because I didn't get back to them with feedback that I should have during that early access time that I had. To be fair, that was while I was in the hospital, so I was almost, kind of cutting myself a little slack on that one.
Dude, I mean, come on. It was just a heart attack. I mean, it's
A
not a
little
big
something.
deal. You could have
It's not like
taken
you
5
died
minutes.
or anything. It's not like you died or
Exactly.
anything. You could have at least written up your notes while you're laying in there with
Yeah,
one
could have
hand.
dictated your notes on your phone. Come on.
But I did feel kind of bad burning them on it. I feel bad when I burn someone if I say I don't recommend something.
I don't think he understands what he means by your burn versus his
Well,
burn. but
I'm
two
not
di-
talking
two
about
different
your burn. Like
I'm
I
going
don't-
to
Literal
I'm
barbecue.
garbage.
Yeah, I'm going to get some water. I'll be right back.
Go ahead.
See, that's what he's saying. The wife's
He's
calling
putting
him.
out, he's putting out the fire on the other game he just lit on fire. But no, there's nothing wrong with saying that a game has problems if it does. And one of the things is people will complain that YouTubers are too positive on games, not ripping into them enough. And then they want people to rip into them, and then they get on board with, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. This game, got ripped apart. If it's fitting, it's fitting. If it's not, it's not. If you're doing it for views, it'll be seen through. My thing has never been, I do some reviews, but I'm more informational is what I aim to be, and educational. It's like, hey, you want to see what's in this game? Here's what this game's about. Here's the components. And if you want to know how to play a game, here's how to play this game. I don't have the time or the desire, honestly, to sit down and play through a lot of games on video, because people may not realize sitting down and doing a proper playthrough is time consuming. It really is.
Ungodly time consuming.
You can sit there and, because you did the whole lock and load tactical thing where you broke down all the rules into different videos.
Yeah, that was
If
bad.
you're to sit down and do a game accurately, which most people, and he's here and then he's gone. He's back in stealth mode. Which most people do when they do those playthroughs. There's a lot of inaccuracies for many reasons. Number one, wargamers make a lot of mistakes when we play. It's part of it. So, Christoph, you're new to wargaming. Go easy on yourself
on.
when you make mistakes,
He cuts
because
off
we
his
all
camera,
make mistakes
but he
repeatedly
leaves
when
his
we play
mic on.
wargame.
Do you notice? Listen. You can
Of course,
hear
you got to hear him
Kevin,
chowing.
your mic's on, dude. Dipshit.
It's muted now. He's like,
Stuka, yes.
I'm
it was-
hungry. Shut up.
Yeah, the game was so bad it gave me a heart attack.
so Joe was saying the game was so bad it gave you a heart attack. No, actually, it wasn't that bad. But no. And here's another good point. John saying, I don't think Compass Mine's bad review as long as you don't literally burn the game or throw it in the garbage, which is true. I mean, if you have criticism, I think any publisher that is worth their salt will appreciate any coverage they get, positive or negative. And if your negative feedback is constructive, and I think you need to, if you're going to rip a game apart because it's flawed for whatever reasons, the rulebook stinks, the player aids are a mess, or the gameplay itself is just all over the place and it makes no sense. Whatever it is, just present it in a coherent manner and explain it. And if there are some issues in the game that you have with the game, if you can say, here's some flaws that I found in this game, here's what I suggest could be fixes, because not all games that may be bad or have some shortcomings are failed games. Maybe they just need a little bit extra love. So you can suggest some house rules and things like that to improve.
That's really where they were. I would like to see a second edition of that one where the corrections are put into it, because it really just seems like it missed out on development time. Like it could have used some Mo love before it was sent out. Speaking of which, I actually had you in a recent playthrough that I did.
You had me what now?
I had you honorably mentioned in the in-country playthrough that I did.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was a
You got me killed on it when I was stacked up at the door and I went in and I got friggin' fragged before anybody else. Or?
No, the name of the scenario was called Mohawk Down.
Nice.
Nice.
You were captured and the little ranger team had to go in there and try to rescue you. Sorry to tell you, they failed. They
so I was going to say I probably died in the end anyway. So.
No, you were recaptured.
Oh,
Episode 5,
you guys suck.
They recaptured you. You're tortured. Sorry, buddy.
See, the problem is you sent in the Ranger, should have sent in the Marine Corps, and then I would have been good. No offense to my Ranger brothers out there. I mean, we love you. Our Army brethren, we do love you.
Well, that's why I was giving them a lot of hell, because the guys who designed the game, of course, they're Army Ranger guys, so I had to give them a lot of shit over it. But they're the ones I told you about that collect for that the charity, the military suicide one.
Yeah.
So
I've got a video coming up on that too, because I've got that in country and got the massive amounts of terrain that comes with it too. So,
dude, I'm telling you got to get the files, right? Because
I need a 3D printer first before I do that. I can't see it. You have to go. There you go. Now it looks good.
Yeah, those are the ones.
But I got all the 3D.
Minis.
But I got all the minis, and I'll tell you what, I got some close-ups of the minis in the video, and these minis, I'm telling you right now, for plastics, the detail on them is really fantastic. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's as good as metal, and metal minis always have great detail, but these ones have, I would say, finer detail, crisper detail, even than metal, because that's the benefit of plastics over the metal. So they did a really fantastic job. It is also fragile too. So it's one of those things, like if you're going to play a miniatures game, to protect your minis, you're going to have a proper case to put them in, padded and everything else. If you're going to invest in that, you're going to spend an extra $30 or $40 and get a padded case for them or two.
That's why I like the 3D printing files, because they are just as good. They look the same, right? Because I got 1 month of their subscription service so I could get all the files, and I ended up with something like 18 minis, I think, just for 1 month that I could print off, including even some motorcycles that look really cool. So if I break these, I don't give a shit, because I can just make more of them.
So now I'm going to go back to something for a second, because I thought this was funny. And they're talking about Crete, right? And Malime, whatever it is, Malimi, whatever. And then John goes, I have trouble pronouncing Crete. I just thought that was great.
Isn't that the little island there in the Mediterranean?
Yes. John is like, Heracleon used to be my password in the late 90s. So I thought that was funny. I wanted to go back up there to bring up that Crete thing. So yes, I am going to look up how to pronounce that properly.
So another thing about sort of giving feedback on games necessarily is also that it may just be it's not for you, right? So you may play a game and it's not for you, and you don't enjoy it. So that,
true.
Like, I'm playing Compass Games Carrier Battles right now, and I'm not really.
You're not feeling it.
I'm not as enthusiastic about it as I thought it would be. I liked the first Carrier Battles, and I'm trying to work out what it is that I'm not getting, and I think it's
the rules.
A lack of. Well, no, the rules probably aren't the best. I will say that. they're not bad, but I think it's more the consistency of the time that I'm investing. So I've had it broken up over sort of a period of time. So I'm almost, not quite, but almost relearning as I go. So that tends to slow things down. And then you're looking stuff up. You kind of go, oh, well, this is a pain in the ass and I don't care. And why do I bother? Yeah, that's it. Philippine Sea.
If only somebody did a video to help ease that learning curve.
Yeah, but I know, but I can't. I can't You did a great video, but I'm not going to pull the video up. I'm just rulebook oriented. I don't even go to the PDF, right? I go to the book, right? So that's one of the issues when playing with Ralph. I was like, I need my rule book in my hand, not PDF. And he was kind of the same way.
I find it faster to flip through the rule book than it is to search a PDF. That sounds really counterintuitive, and it doesn't make sense. And it is actually faster to search through a PDF, but visually,
Control F victory conditions, and there's 27 of them, so you got to click through all of them and find the one you want, right?
But you can easily scan through a book because you learn landmarks on the pages.
Right.
Oh, it's not this page, it's the next page. Boom. There it is.
It's right near here. Yeah, exactly. So I prefer that. But the whole judgment, I guess it really is a judgment, right? It's a judgment call based on your experience with the game, and here's what you experienced at a point in time. And I know I've played a game and said bleh, and then come back to it 2 or 3 years later and played it again and gone, oh, this is pretty good, right?
This is true.
So that happens a lot, right? People. Because I know I started out with BCS with Last Blitzkrieg, and I was super excited about it. And I really didn't like it when it first came out. And then once they got to the version 2 rules, I think it's a much, much better game and a better system now than it was. And any criticism I raised against it was like, oh, well, you how dare you, right? MMP, Dean Essig, BCS, don't you dare. So, stupid.
But the thing
I don't
is,
know how you guys are getting by on those rules because I just can't stand it. I wish they had done a regular damn rule book. They could have kept the playbook the same and had it.
What you talking about? Philippine Sea?
Yeah,
Philippines.
It's killed me because I can't just read the rule book, and for some reason I can't get it into my mind. The way it's broken down, it just doesn't fit. And for me, I always hit a point when I'm reading on the rules where it finally starts to dawn, and I'm like, okay, I get it. This is making sense. Do this, and this. And I've read this rule book more than once, and I can't get it to stick, no matter what. For some reason, it just doesn't work for me. I think breaking down the scenarios into little pieces so you can learn the game if you want to do it that way is fine. But just have a regular rule book, because I can't think of the number of times I've read in that rule book that, hey, this part, it doesn't go here or it doesn't apply to this scenario, but chronologically it goes here, so we're going to put it here, but you need to remember it for later.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's like exceptions.
Like 3 or 4 times, right?
Yeah, that becomes like exceptions. Well, this will happen, combat is going to be handled like this. Unless it is the second Tuesday of November in an odd-numbered year, then you don't do that. But that only happens 5 times, possibly, if this happens, and that's another option. Yeah, I get where you're going there, but I would say possibly with Philippine Sea, it could also be a luck thing too, is how much contact you're getting. Because if you're not getting the contact, it's not going to absorb you into it. You're not. And again, I know you were saying that you weren't getting
3 turns. Yeah, I played 3 turns. Guam just got a raid. Yeah. And I had my guys 1 hex away, and I got to do the intercept, and I'm knocked out. I've got 3 airplanes that are headed towards the task force right now. So it's not going to do anything. But that's the first raid that has been run, and as the and it could also be. I just look at it like if I'm facing an unknown force, and there's these 20 markers out there, and I don't know which one's the bad guys. I want to hedge my bets about how many strikes get launched against me. So I'm moving my carriers so that I'm only being targeted by the least amount of potential carriers, Japanese carriers. So maybe that's not what happened historically, because the Americans knew that they had knocked out all the bad guys. True. So they're a lot more ballsy, and they're just like, oh, come on, bring it. I bring them all. And maybe I'm being too cautious, but that could be part of why I'm not seeing as many raids either, because I'm staying out of range of most of the carriers that, or not the carriers, most of the tokens that are on the board that could potentially be carriers.
Are you
Yeah.
talking about like
That makes sense.
the point where the tokens aren't identified yet? So
Right. So they're blank,
Is
and
it-
so they can't. They got to roll
Yeah.
to launch, but they have to be within a certain number of hexes. And so I'm staying away from them and migrating to the north, to where there's 2 or 3 task forces, and one that's exposed that is a carrier, level 1, that are also moving closer to the exit where they get VP. So I'm engaging with them because that makes more sense to me than splitting up the task force into multiple task forces and then have been taken out piecemeal.
See ya, John. Your priority took off because you wanted to go play your favorite tactical game, Combat Commander.
To me, it almost feels like there's
Look at
there's
that.
too much going
Put
on.
Combat Commander up on the screen, and Kev goes off screen.
I'm off. I'm out.
There's
I'm out. We're not talking about this.
there's too much going on. Like there's too many pieces that are convoluted pieces, because the part of the gameplay where you're having to deal with, is it a carrier task force or not, and then you got to find out the intelligence.
Couple of die rolls. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, there's a fair amount going on there, but even just with that, there's your task forces to worry about, and are you
Yes.
launching, and where your planes are, and all this stuff, and
Yeah.
then when your stuff's in the air, how much fuel do they have? Are they going? And now when
The
they're
whole
searching,
management piece, yeah.
there's
Yeah,
just so much going on that I can't get it all to coalesce
Yeah.
into a game.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does
I
that
can
make-
see that. I don't mind managing my task forces so much because, it's kind of the thing, right? It's naval warfare and carrier, so I get it, but it's managing and running the AI on its behalf. That, okay, chip by chip, move everybody 1 hex, roll to see if they launch. Do they launch? Yes, they do. Okay, then, what happens and all that sort of stuff. It's like 3 or 4 die rolls, and then, oh, okay, that's cool. Otherwise, it's 1 die roll and nothing happens and move on. But I keep finding myself going back to the rule book and trying to work out what should I be doing next.
Yeah, it never
Well-
really feels like it's ingrained, and you're just dealing with the player
Yeah.
rates.
You're not getting enough reps in it the way it is, the way it's constructed.
Enough flow, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't flow, right? So
Like you have that programmed instruction like Academy does with their why did I just totally brain dead their tactical game.
Conflict of Heroes?
Conflict of Heroes. They've got that programmed instruction, but when you're getting that programmed instruction, when you play the scenario, you're getting some reps in. So each time
Right.
it builds on it. So by the time you get through the entire rule book, now you know the whole thing because you've gotten enough reps. Here, this is a kind of a game where, yeah, these are the steps, but not everything is always going to happen. And not everything is always going to happen in that order. And some of these things may never happen if you
Right.
don't get attacked and
Right.
things like that. So it's hard to get all that to just become, muscle memory, essentially.
Yep.
Even
Yep.
again,
Like you can with other solitaire games.
like Sacred Oil, right? Or the Deadly Northern Lights, right? The ones like that are complex games. They're not easy by any means, but you do get those reps in. You have that
Yeah.
part of
Yep.
combat goes on enough that you can get to where you're just using the player aids to play the game. You don't feel like you're still buried in the rulebook to go on with it.
Yeah, the
That's
first half
where-
dozen times you get into combat or do something, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to miss a step here, miss a
Yeah.
step there. Then you're going to catch it. And then each time you do the next rep, you're going to get that piece in. You're going to add that piece in. By the time you get your fifth, sixth rep, okay, now I got it down. And you just have to forgive yourself for the first 5 or 6 that you made mistakes on. And you say, oh, well, this doesn't matter. This is a learning game anyway. I'm just in here playing a half scenario just to get a feel for it. Then I can set it up because now I've got the reps. I'm warmed up. I know what I'm doing. Now I can actually play the scenario for real.
But are we running into the problem that you're going to run into with a Pacific game, right? Anything set in that type of area where you've got large sea battles, lots of moving parts, that you're going to have to abstract so many details that the game can't really be easy to play or accurate, right? You have to pick one or the other. Right, there are games set in the Pacific that are easy to play, but they're so abstracted out that it's not even close to
Yep.
simulating it. This simulates it really well, but it's very hard to play the game.
Yeah, I don't know what the kill rates are like yet because I've only had one raid and one intercept. But it's funny that if you go through so I went and scraped the internet looking for all of the air to sea attacks that happened.
Mhm.
You can fit it on 3 or 4 pages, and so out of all those, the number of aircraft and the number of ships that were sunk and the number of sorties that were run and all that sort of stuff. There's really not a lot of data, so it's going to be hard as a designer to build, a 1d6, 1d10 percentile chance of sinking something, a ship, an enterprise, or a destroyer, or battleship, or whatever. It's going to be hard to have the probability distribution that represents what happened, because so much of it was luck based, finding it, getting the right guys, getting through the flak, getting through the zeros. The guys were rearming at midway when they shouldn't have been, and they decided to change their loadouts at the last minute, and so they caught them all on the flag deck. So many factors that sort of bring in that luck factor, that when you play something like War in the Pacific War, or this thing, or any of the other, there's half a dozen of these things, and they all have these odd sort of combat results tables, and you never really get, like if you play the midway scenario, you never really get what I would call an accurate representation, right?
Yeah.
It's always kind of close enough, or not close enough, but it's there. It worked, but it didn't really. I didn't sink as much as I thought I would, or the Japanese sunk too much, or some bullshit like that.
No,
That's
true.
the thing, though. You can, what you're describing there, that issue, I have seen that in a game where it plays differently depending on what part of the world you're in. The Absolute Victory, also by Compass Games.
Yeah.
The European theater plays like a completely different game to the Pacific theater. Now, in a way, it should, because so different in how they operated, but they really were like two different games, and it could be played as two different games. You could play just the Pacific theater or just the European theater. The ground battles played the same, but the Pacific theater itself was like a completely different game that was tacked on.
Well, you have to remember too, when we look at World War II Pacific and we look at modern day naval, it's a completely different world. The Pacific, and just for scale here on the camera, the Pacific was like this big, and you're looking for this tiny speck. Today, it's the same size, but your coverage is the same size, or mostly the same size. It's harder to find those slivers of area that you're not going to be seeing, because we have a greater network of detection than we did in World War II. So,
and then you had all that evolution of technology, even during World War II as well, that you got to try and catch.
Yeah, no, it's true. No, it's very true. So it's hard to get that without abstracting the heck out of it. And even in modern, you're going to still abstract it as well. So an abstraction is part of gaming. How much detail do you want? Do you want to have 150, 250, 500 pages of detail? Do you want to have like ASL detail? As I always make fun of ASL, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to exit this building here, and I'm going to make the run across the street to the other building. So now I need to roll to see if I trip on the threshold, and then I have to roll and see if I slide on the gravel that's on the walkway out there, and then I've got to roll and see if I slip on the grass, depending on time of day. If it's first thing in the morning, is it very dewy out or not? And then you have a modifier for that. I mean, that level of detail some people might like, but it's like after a while you're like, how many die rolls am I going to do for this crap? I just want to run across the street.
Well, there's a consistency that's needed in abstraction as well.
Yes.
So I was talking to Ralph about Next War Iran, and they try and keep land, air, and naval with a consistent level of abstraction, right? And where some other games may be highly abstract for naval and not abstract for air, and then land is something else in between the two, it makes it hard for you to kind of grok the system, because you're way down in the weeds on A, but you're super up in the sky on B, and then C, you're somewhere in between the two, and it makes it hard to grok that whole system and play consistently and effectively through the rules. So
True.
we went through a lot of that because we were dealing with some of the stuff with Deadly Northern Lights in terms of what was abstracted and what wasn't, and that some of those inconsistencies really struck home for 3 out of the 4 players. I didn't have a problem with it, but the others did. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Well, the other thing with Philippine Sea, I kind of got the read online that when I saw you saying you didn't have any attacks, you didn't have anything going on. So I was like, oh yeah, that'll definitely draw me out of something too. If I'm like, okay, what's the point? Okay, turn 1, nothing.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Turn 2, nothing. Turn 3. Okay, guys, where's the game here? Where's the action?
Right.
You know, I can't. It will turn you off. Remember, and the only reason I say it's totally different game system, totally different experience. But at first, you felt the same way about Brief Border Wars, and then you went back and you looked at the game, and then you were like, oh yeah, this is actually a lot better game than I thought it was. At first, you're like, this is just junk, you know, and then you liked it. So I'm wondering if maybe
I said it was junk.
Well, you didn't like it at all.
I said it was highly abstract.
Yes, you didn't like it, and then you went back and liked it again. Liked it after playing it again. So I'm wondering if Philippine Sea.
Oh yeah,
If you get into it, you may like it more. And same for Nate. If you get more action, you get more reps, then you may feel differently.
Well, think about it like with Silent Victory, right? Dealing with Pacific, dealing with submarines in that case. But there, if you have something not happen, like you don't come across a convoy to go after, that's no big deal because you're just going to the next block and you're searching again. There's a much quicker game flow to get to that next point. And if you miss the first 2, 3, 4, it doesn't matter. You're going to find one eventually, and it's going to take 5 minutes versus 5 hours in carrier battles. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to hate on carrier battles. Maybe it's just not for me because I've got the original carrier, right? And I remember trying to film it way back in the day, and I couldn't do it. And for the longest time, I thought maybe it was just me. I didn't have the war game experience to do that level of a game at the time. Mm-hmm. But since I'm having so many problems with this one, maybe it's just not a game for me. I don't know.
It could just be you, Nate.
It could be. Maybe I don't have the memory that works for that. I hate it. I want to love it. I want to tear this game up.
Right. Well, one of the things that was a challenge for me was that I'm looking at the turn track, and I know that I've only got a certain number of turns, and now 3 have passed, and I haven't had a chance to launch a strike yet. So there's no way. Probably, I don't know because I haven't played it. There's a limited chance for me to exceed the historical result, i.e. win. So that's, you kind of putting yourself behind the 8 ball because the Japanese are rolling like crap, which is you rolling like crap. And then I'm trying to work out how I'm going to stay alive long enough, but no one's attacking me. So it's kind of weird. Just a funky situation. But I get what you're saying, Nate. It's hard to, if you don't get it and it doesn't flow and you've got to work hard to make it work, and you're trying to record video on it, then you're like, oh, just shoot me now, I'm done. So some of that's kind of what I'm getting to, is that like, well, there's nothing for me to record here because it's really not very interesting.
Well,
so
here's one about talking about games, to record playthroughs and stuff. My wife was visiting her father a couple weeks ago, so she was gone for a week, and I was like, I got a Friday night that I have free, that I don't have any interruptions from my wife, stopping and poking her head in my office or anything. So I was like, and I can be loud and I can be boisterous or whatever doing a video. So I said, sure, why not? Yeah. I'm going to shoot The Night, which is a zombie game done by White Dog Games. It's based on Night of the Living Dead. It's a simple skirmish game. So I was like, this will be fun. What's that?
I thought you already filmed that one.
No, I filmed a preview on it, and then I did a Twitter playthrough of and stuff like that, but I didn't actually do like a playthrough video. And I was doing a playthrough, and I'm doing the voices, I'm doing the whole thing. This is great, and I'm like, I'm starting to get a little tired. Maybe I'll pick it up tomorrow. I'm almost done. I'm like down to like the last 4 turns, and it wasn't looking good for the humans because I'd already lost like 3. They had died, come back, and things like that. So I was like, maybe I'll just pick it up tomorrow. And I go to stop the video, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll see where I'm at. I'll download it to my computer, and I'll look at it, and I'm like, son of a bitch. I shot that entire friggin' video for like 45 minutes, 50 minutes, something like that. And then my mic on.
No. I've done that.
Yeah. I was like,
that.
shoot me now. I was like, okay, so I guess I'll never shoot this playthrough video because I was like, damn it. I shot this thing and I don't know. I got distracted. I didn't flip my mic on. So I was like, okay, this sucks. Yeah, that's a sign. I'm not supposed to do playthroughs.
Right.
like that.
Exactly.
So
Dude,
I'm done.
I feel you. I used to have mics that were battery powered, those little button batteries, you know?
Yeah, that's what I have.
And I would forget to flick that little damn button.
That's what I did.
You know, have nothing to show for all my time, so that's why I got rid of it, and I use nothing but mics that plug in. Right? It's got to have its own power source. There's no switch that I have to flip because I cannot stand that. I have done that more than once, and it is irritating as hell.
Yeah, so all you would have had if I had done this would have been me pointing at the thing, showing you player aids, and then doing jazz hands while there was no sound. You know, I could have.
You know what I did when that happened to me one time? I did that with TCS when I was first learning it, and I didn't have the sound, so I sped up the video and made it super fast.
Like an old silent film,
and you just saw the counters moving and the dice rolling and it went and all the bits moved and shit like that. It was incredibly boring.
I had a thought similar to that when I was like, well, maybe I could do this, and then I was like, afterwards I was so kind of just mad at myself. Right, I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. I was thinking of taking it because it's all in black and white anyway. The graphics on the thing. So I was like thinking, okay, well, maybe I'll just use some filters and I'll give it that black and white with the streaks through the film effect. And then I'll show the video and then I'll zoom in on whatever's happening in the die roll. And then I'll stop and then I'll put it like a placard up on screen with text saying, and our hero dies, or something like that. And then, add some crappy silent music, silent movie music in. And try to cut it down to like a 5-minute video. And I was like, you know what? There's way more effort in there than I want to put. So I was like, screw it.
Yeah. See, that's why you have to be careful when you start adding in neat stuff like doing green screen stuff. I've started doing more of those videos where you can see me and what I'm playing and all that crap. And the problem with that is that means you've got 2-3 cameras going at once, 2 or 3 mics going all at once, and now you're just adding in extra shit that can fail. And all it takes is one of those to go wrong to ruin everything that you've got going on.
The Charlie Chaplin Club.
Yeah,
Stuka's got the best setup. Y'all need to look at his video showing how his little studio.
Oh, sure, I've seen it. It's cool. But I don't know. I just want to play the games. I don't really care about the video production so much. If I can record. Yeah, I mean, if
very no frills.
Well, so 11 years ago, right, I started doing this bullshit when it was really hard with crappy software and crappy PCs and poor internet. No Dropbox upload. You had to take the USB stick out and put it in the friggin' PC to get your video. I was doing stop motion stuff, and it was an hour for every minute, right? So I would rather play the games, and once we get into the new house and all that sort of stuff, I'll be able to get back to doing some live streaming and gameplay, and we'll live with the mistakes, right? I love getting the interaction with folks going, oh, you're an idiot, don't do that. Okay, sorry.
When I mean no frills, I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm saying you're basically just, here's my camera, here's the tripod. I'm going to just point it at the thing. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to move the tripod around with the phone on it to shoot the video. Whereas Nate and I try to shoot video and try to like edit and stuff, like add a lot more time into it.
You guys are awesome.
Your stuff is just like boom, fast. And I'm like, I need to start doing that. I really do. Just shoot raw video and throw it up. But part of me sits there. I'm like, I'm just going to raw video now. I'm going to throw it up there. I'm like, I can't do that. Part of me goes, no.
But you do educational stuff. Both of you do these great educational videos where you, graphics and intros and outros and pop-ups and oops, I made a mistake there. And I'm kind of like, well, look in the comments for any shit I messed up, and we'll talk about it later. Good luck, and don't buy. By all means, do not buy this game based on my gameplay because it's probably wrong.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
but I don't. I did. I think for 3 years I did that stop motion stuff and all the edits and intros and outros, and finally I just said, look, I just want to play the games and share my experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm really anxious to get back to live streaming and doing more live gameplay and watch you struggle.
Boog River.
Watch me struggle with the game or watch me have fun with the game, right?
Yeah.
Well, the stop motion isn't that hard to do. I'd seen some of the stuff that Stuka had done before, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, well, how do I do that?
Holy crap, Nate, you moved.
Yeah.
You took the show into the living room.
I kept feeling like a fat guy was going to eat me, so I had to change the picture out.
I love it.
Don't tell him I said that. He'll get mad. I'm just picking, brother. I'm just picking.
Yeah, but his stuff is so his transitioning, right? So that's not stop motion; it's transitioning, right, from B, C, and D. I'm talking about 200 counters on the map, and
you literally push them one at a time.
I literally move every one space. So a line of phalanxes, I'll move everyone one space, take a photograph, move everyone another space, take a photograph. And you've got to keep track of who's activated and how many commands they've used and all the rest. And no voiceover commentary, just music or maybe some text edits. And a full battle in stop motion takes, a great Battles of History battle. It's a minimum of 500 photographs. Right?
Don't take pictures. Use a video. Then you've just got one video file and you cut out the dead air in between. That's the way I did it.
But that takes longer. But it's not the same. It's okay. I'll send you a link privately. I'm not going to put it up here because I don't want anyone to see them anymore because they're pretty crappy. But I'll send you a stop motion video and you can see it. It's different.
You also, the other thing, I did something similar with NATO when I did that AAR thing where I took pictures and I was playing through the turn. And I was taking pictures, and I continually tried to do the same thing to make it easier on myself. I'd move from the top down to the bottom of the map. I would take pictures. I'd write notes. I'd take pictures. I'd write notes, and then I was uploading them to Dropbox, and I was labeling the images. And I would be like, okay, it's going to be this image, that image, to match up with my notes, so I didn't get screwed up later. Then I sat down and I wrote the notes down up in a more coherent manner in a Word document, and then I did voiceovers. And that's a lot of work for like a 10-minute video, 10, 15-minute video. Yeah. People don't realize the hours of effort playing the game, taking the notes. I mean, it takes a 90-minute, 2-hour game session takes 4 hours. Easy. Just because you're taking notes and images and stuff.
But you can do that easier now. With Premiere Pro, what I use, I just right-click on it, insert frame hold segment. Boom. It creates a picture for me right there. In the video.
Oh, sure.
Right, so
different software, right?
Yeah, I mean,
like Todd Reed. Go ahead.
No, I have to pay for the program, but it's worth it for all the little bells and whistles because it saves me time. Otherwise, I'd be doing that, taking the picture and trying to stitch it all together.
Right. So I'm talking about doing stuff 10 years ago versus before you were born versus now, right? And so I was talking to Todd Reed. He does for his work, he produces a podcast, right? So he uses 5 or 6 different applications to produce a podcast that is 30 minutes. And it takes him 3, 4, 5 hours to do that, edit out all ums and ahs and take out the stuff that doesn't matter and all. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize that because I was thinking a podcast would be just like how we do stuff like right now, turn the camera on and record shit and punch publish.
Like AAC.
Well, so more like that. Right. So I'm more in the AAC crowd of production and publishing than I am in the Stuka Joe, and there's a whole lot of other guys like yourself, and all the Zilla guy, whatever his name is, and all those other fellas that do all the high end production. I give 2 shits about that. I don't. If you don't like the way I do it, I'll go watch somebody else. I'm just playing. That's all I'm doing.
Well, that's the thing. I think from a creator standpoint, it comes down to what you want to do. You want
Right.
to just sit down, play, put the camera over. Like you want the viewer to be a person over your shoulder, listening
share.
into your thoughts,
Right.
which is fine. And, you know, like Nate wants to sit down and talk to people at length about a game and show it in action. You know, which is what he does in his videos. And now you're also using the green screen stuff. You know, Joe, what he does with his stuff, he goes like really intricate, and he has like dollies and lights and cameras and all kinds of super high end, you know, feel to it, which is fantastic. Plus, he's got that smooth, silky voice, which just, you know, everybody loves to listen
And
to.
you can talk with an outrageous accent. It sounds really sexy.
He can't have kids taking
You
up
know?
his money because I've looked up that stuff is expensive, man. I was like, you know, how much would some of this railing?
Well, that's
cost
the
me to
thing.
set up, you know, they don't get it. Like,
Sure.
it costs a lot.
You know,
of
But
money
you can only
to
do a
set up.
certain size, right?
Well,
Yeah,
depending on your-
you have to go based on, you know, what your table size is, what your needs are, because you may be able to have a big table, you might be able to get a longer dolly that you can have off the table and just keep alongside the table, or have it in segments. You can break it down, make it smaller, things like that.
Sure.
It all comes down to what your
Oh, he fell off the sofa.
That's what I was thinking. He fell onto the floor. He went under the table. He drank himself under the table.
I'm knocking
But
stuff over.
the thing is, it all comes down to how much money do you want to drop out of your own pocket on it, because none of this stuff are people making money on. You know, I mean, contrary to what some people think, and this is the thing that cracks me up, is when these chuckleheads that are in some of the forums, they sit there and go, "Oh yeah, you know, you're doing unboxing. It's just easy money." It's like, really, the whole $1.20 maybe that you get out of the friggin' video. It's like, no, it ain't money. Let me tell you, it ain't.
Unless you're a certain channel that charges for reviews, right? So, you know, or channels.
Some channels, you know, allegedly charge for reviews, which I know I know there's like a couple of.
Did you know that legally you're supposed to announce that?
Really?
You're supposed
if you
to
charge.
If you are being paid for a product, it becomes a product endorsement.
Endorsement,
promotion.
yeah.
You have to legally, to post anything on YouTube, you have to say that you are being paid or receive product in kind.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's
Which
why I always
does make
say-
sense. I mean, I
always say,
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
say
yeah,
the
we all
exact
do
same
it. I know
thing.
we all do it.
Like, you know, they were nice enough to send me, and I always use that terminology to make sure that I announce that they sent me something, because I know that's going to affect someone's
Shut up, Brent.
someone's opinion over it. If I was sent it versus I bought it, on whether or not they're going to trust my review as much. I just understand. That's
Right.
how people are going to look at it.
Right.
see now the videography part of it too. It all comes down to what your interest is. Now, for me, I enjoy learning and playing with the editing stuff. I know Joe does as well, because that is its own hobby into itself too, and you can really deep dive into that. Like for the learn to play, as I've talked about this before, I mean, those things take 20, 30 hours to do, because there are overlays and things like that I create. And like right now, I'm working on the next overlay, or the next learn to play for 2040, an American insurgency. And that one has the map of the United States broken down into zones. And I did an overlay for that, which I added into the video. So that way it just pops up and it shows you these are the zones.
Is that the
It's all of
Compass
about,
Games
I don't
one?
know.
The 2040?
What's that?
Is that the Compass Games
Yeah, that's
Kickstarter
the-
they just did?
Yes.
Okay.
It's that kind of coin kind of feel
Yeah.
game to it. We just shot that learn to play. I'm working on that. So I was doing the overlay, and the overlay, I mean, it took me, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes, an hour to create an overlay for it. It's on screen for maybe 5-10 seconds. I mean, that's where you invest your time, is into doing things like that. But that helps the video pop. I mean, it helps things in the video pop, so it sticks in the person's head that's viewing it. And that's the point of doing videos like that, is to make it so it sticks with you, and you remember those things when you're playing, because that's the intent of visual learning, and at least that's how I approach it. Now, I'm sure I can find faster ways to do things, and I do have some faster ways of doing some things, but usually I learn that after I've done it the hard way first. And then I learn how to do
That's
it the
the
easy
brain,
way
right?
from doing it the hard way.
Dude, I can't tell you
Yeah,
the
it's like
amount of
anything else.
times that I've done something in editing And I've done it that way for years because it's how I figured out how to do it. And it takes me 10, 15 minutes to do it. And I have to do it over and over and over again.
I could have right-clicked and done this in 5 seconds.
Yep. And then I find out, a year later that I could just went click and it was done, for the whole video. So pain in the butt.
Right.
Richard, I use Premiere Pro, but there's a
Ooh,
difference.
big
If
bucks.
you use Premiere Pro, you're paying monthly for it, but on the bright side, I get the updated software constantly. So I always have the newest version of whatever they have. But if you pay for like the high-end software, you're paying like $300 for video editing software, but it's a one-time purchase, but you don't get the newest version. So you can either pay a smaller amount over time to have the newest, or a one-time fee once, but then you have to buy the upgraded versions over time. Personally, I think just paying for it over time is a better way to go. And Premiere works great.
Yeah. No, I use.
What do you use? What do you use, Bob?
I use
DaVinci
Power
is good.
Director,
It's free.
and that has a that's also a subscription, but it is a month, or it is a yearly subscription, and it is probably when I pay for it, I do it yearly. I probably pay a little bit more than you pay for a month of Premiere.
I pay,
So,
I think
It's
40,
way cheaper.
40, 50. It's 40 or 50 a month I pay.
I think I pay like $80, 80 or 100 for mine. So it's like, okay, 2 months a year, but mine's good for a year, and it's just, you get constant updates, and I'm getting the audio, the color director, the video director, the audio director, and the color director. So I can actually change, the LUTs if I want to use those, which I don't. I also do audio because I process the audio for all my videos and stuff too. So all that stuff, it'll even a simple unboxing can take, I could shoot one. I used to, when I look at my old unboxings, I'm like, holy crap, dude, they're terrible. I used to shoot them in one take, and I would do it in 15, 20 minutes. Now I shoot one, can take anywhere from, depending on the size of the game, like Third World War probably took like an hour and a half to shoot, maybe longer. And then probably about 3 hours of editing and processing, and then uploading. It's probably 5-6 hours total for that, one video for 15, 20 minutes or whatever. So
Yeah, people don't realize the amount of time and effort goes into all this crap.
yeah.
No gratitude.
I use Premiere Elements, and it's a standalone. It was the last of it's a 2020 version.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, I paid for it once, and that's it. I'm not a subscription guy. I'm not paying someone every month to have access to software. So
Now that's another one,
not a fan-
DaVinci
not a
Resolve.
fan of it.
DaVinci
Yeah,
Resolve
I've heard
is a
about
free
that.
one too, and there's a lot of tutorials for that. But I downloaded it, and I kind of played around with it, and then I downloaded Power Director, and I just felt, anybody who's used video editing is going to understand this. It just, like right away, it just clicked. I was just like, yep, no, I feel right at home here. I felt very intuitive to it. DaVinci is not as intuitive for me. I'm sure I can learn it.
Right.
Adobe, I kind of played around with it, and I was just like, yeah, it kind of reminds me of, what was it, Photoshop. And I was never crazy on Photoshop. It's the same layout, same type of feel. But it's really powerful, and it's got a lot of stuff. Plus, you have so much crap you can download and use. But I am not paying $40 or $50 a month for something that used to cost like $300-400, and then it was yours forever.
Right,
it's a
exactly.
principal thing for me.
Yeah,
So
I'm kind of old school like that. I want to own the software I use, and so have you guys tried any of the TechSmith products at all, like Snagit and whatever the Corel something or whatever it is? I forget what it's called now. But
the Corel Video Studio Pro or something like that. It used to be.
Something like that. I've looked at them. I've tried. I like some of their overlay graphics you can put on video. But the other thing I like about Adobe Premiere Elements is that it's image and video editing in one. So, because I like to do, I love just goofing around with the filters.
Throwing filters, yeah,
I love doing that. And just creating cool artsy pictures, which unfortunately my Elements 2020 has decided not to work very well on this current PC. So I've got to wait till I buy a new PC before I can really use it again. So
Yeah,
I actually have to log in
use
as a
an
different
OBS
user.
right now.
It won't start on my profile.
What was that, Nate?
He was talking about OBS. I'm using it right now. That's how I record these videos. Like any of the screen capture stuff, I
Really?
always use OBS. It's easy.
Yeah.
It's free. I don't know. Maybe I have something in Adobe will do it. I've got like 20 programs on that thing, but I don't know all of them. Some of them I get
iMovie for the
because they
win.
come with like the Photoshop, the After Effects, the Dimension thing, whatever it is. Like she
Sure.
uses some of that stuff for their homeschooling as well. So we're not just using, like I'm not just using this for the video editing
Sure.
that I do. Like she's using some of it for the kids.
So,
Yeah.
so pivoting back to war games.
I was going to say
Yes.
we got way off.
Who,
Went off
who has
the
played? Who has played? Because we just went down the hole there.
Yeah,
who
we
has
did.
played the War Diary Guadalcanal, the reboot of the Avalon Hill game?
I messed around with it. I have not played a full game with it yet, but I like what I saw so far. But again, it was not enough to dig
Right.
into it. I like the new. I like the new map. I know you had a problem with the
Just where they join.
yeah, where they're joined the what was it the creeks? You know how
Yeah, I was
things,
curious.
the terrain features. Yeah,
Yeah, I was curious about the scale. That's why I was just
Scale.
I didn't have a problem with it. I was just wondering because if I look at the maps and I look at their map, they're completely different. I'm just wondering, that's odd. But the other thing I thought was unusual was because they decided to I don't know if they did or not because I don't have the old version. I could probably actually find a scanned copy of it, but if they made the map bigger. Choosing to split the map right at Henderson Field was a really bad choice, right? It would have been better to have one larger map or one smaller map because everything happens right around that area. So
that's the point of the game.
Yeah, hey,
So
Hey,
they
yeah,
have
that
the
was-
split of them. I don't think I have that one,
Right.
but they have the split of the map right at the spot that you're fighting
right.
over.
It's Henderson Field, right? Or Henderson Field.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of dumb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was not. It was not. It could have been thought out better. Could have been plotted out
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
Maybe
Like the
cut
cameras,
off
everything
one.
else worked good. Yeah.
Yeah, they cut off one segment of the map
Right,
partially or
right.
something like that, and moved it
Right.
down or up or whatever.
Yep.
To not have that on the split point of the map, yeah, that would have been better. But I like what I saw so far, and there's another tactical game that they're working on as well. So I'm really excited to see War Diary pursuing more games, not just letting it die on the vine and
Right,
pursue more.
right.
So that's great because it's another line of games that we'll get to see. And I like the fact that they're revisiting. Mike Nagel has been revisiting some old ones, 1914 and Guadalcanal,
Right.
and redoing them, updating them, and
Yes.
adding in the errata and changing some things up, streamlining some things, and then redoing it, which I think is fantastic.
But there's
Yeah, I
still
think
this is the one where you get a choice, right? Like you
What's
get
that?
the subscription for War Diary, and then you get the choice on which game you get.
Or you can just buy the game,
Is it still
or
lock
you
and load?
yeah.
They're now publishing. Nate.
No, through Blue
publishing
Panther.
things. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
they're
right.
they're publishing their own games
You
through,
guys had
through
mentioned
Blue
that.
Panther. Yeah.
I did not realize that. Yeah. Huh. I like War Diary. I still read all their stuff.
Thanks for stopping by, Charles. Appreciate it.
Yeah. See you, Charles. I think Roy is going to send me the 1914 game, so I'm going to have a look at that for him as well. So I don't know when that's coming though.
Yeah, the good thing here is there's breakdown units, so there's no more keeping track on a pad, Joe. Now they've got extra units for that, which
Yeah.
eases the bookkeeping quite a bit.
Yep.
And I could see that being a thing back then, and it does work, but I think it's better when you have the breakdown units. It works better nowadays because you keep the units on the map. You don't have to worry about keeping track. Oh, what's that one? Oh, that's 4 strength. This is 2 strength or whatever, or 2 steps. You just have it right there on the map. You know what you got.
There's only one game that I've seen that has done that really well, which was the Thunder in the East one, where they had they called it the change box, I think. The one where as units got damaged or step reduced, they would come over to this box and you would switch them out or combine them if they got, put back together into a higher strength unit. But the way I described that one in the game was the fact that the box was like a cash register that had to stay at the right amount. So if you were putting in, you were pulling out, or back and forth, and it was an easy way to keep track so you didn't lose in your mind or your focus what units you were supposed to have. Because some games are going to have units that have 3-4 steps. I want to have that ability to have that in a game without having to keep track of it, off to the side.
Sure.
Yep.
So now Brant is leaving because he's over at what is it, Gamma or Origins, whatever that's going on now. I forget which one is that's going on now, but they're doing a live unboxing of Littoral Commander. That's what they're going to be doing. So
Cool.
that's going to be kind of neat. They're going to literally do a live unboxing of Littoral Commander. Fleet Marine Forces, I call it, not Littoral Commander. But that was the Marine Corps' choice to not allow them to use FMF in the title, which Buckeye Game Fest. Thank you. That's what it is.
You said the
And-
Marines said they couldn't use that?
Yeah, the Marines wouldn't let them use it. Littoral
But
Commander
they don't
has
have
shipped.
a
Yes, it has.
choice.
Apparently they do. They
It's public domain.
there's trademark involved, I guess, with using EGA and also FMF. I'm not sure. Sebastian's a brother Marine too, and he does training, wargaming for the Marine Corps and things like that. So he went through the proper channels.
That's
Mistake
nothing but
number
recruitment.
one.
Why would-
It's
public
better to ask
domain.
forgiveness
It's the
or
Marines. They've
permission
been
is my
around
belief.
forever. You can't say
I don't know.
Fleet Marine Force.
I guess for a commercial war game, he couldn't. So maybe because of his position, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Oh my God.
All
thought about
righty,
it.
Mike,
Oh,
I didn't
all
say
right.
it.
you
Thanks,
win
Mike.
comment of the night.
I didn't say it.
Whiskey Charlie after dark. That is hilarious.
That's the
That is
first thing
good.
that popped in my mind. Jay and Silent Bob, man. When you said the name of the game, that was the first thing that popped up in my mind. You remember that part of the
Demon-
movie?
Demonetized.
Let's not go there.
So that's the thing right there. I'll be demonetized, so I will lose that on the $1.23 that I would have gotten on this video.
Unless
if
it's in the
that-
first couple of minutes of the video, they don't know.
Yeah, that's true. They could always pick up on it, later. I'm not worried about it because, like I said, it's not like I make money on YouTube.
Right.
The videos are monetized, and I don't make anything. Basically, there's a lot more money paid out of pocket per year than ever comes in. So from YouTube, if I relied on YouTube only, forget it.
Well,
I'd
think
be
about
able
it.
to buy a couple bottles of whiskey. And that's it.
When we upload the videos, they've got a thing where it asks if you've got,
Yeah.
this, that, or the other. One of the things is like profanity. Plenty of times we cuss I'll cuss in my videos. I try to keep it to a minimum, but there's some in there. I always put it as none, and they've never said anything to me about it because there's not enough for them to actually say
Right.
anything.
Yeah.
Like, nobody cares.
Yeah, it's certain keywords, and it's none of the ones that we use.
It should not be offensive, but someone will be like, and then they'll
Those
report
war
you.
gamers, those
know.
old white guys, they're so, whatever they are, but they're just like
Whatever.
Well, there's still a debate on that part even existing, so that one.
The masturbator. Because you said there's debate. The debate to where? The master? But, going back just a second to videos and with Vassal, we have done Vassal games on the channel, and guys who have sat in and watched those, it's similar to, it was a live playthrough. What have your thoughts been in watching over the shoulders here, watching on the channel? What did you guys think watching a Vassal game be played versus standing there at a con or whatever and watching people play on a table? Obviously, you're in the confines of your home. You can get up and use your own restroom. You can get a drink, whatever, sit down and listen to us three knuckleheads talk about whatever we're talking about while we're playing a game. I think it comes across fairly well on the screen, and it's easy to see. You don't have to worry about any focusing, lighting, anything like that. So that's the beauty of using Vassal.
I'd always prefer to have the real thing in front of me rather than Vassal. I'll use Vassal when
True.
we need to for, play purposes since distance isn't, works for us. But I'd always rather have the actual game in front of me. I'm just old-fashioned that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I prefer the actual game. I like to be able to move the camera around and focus in. Sometimes you get playing and I'll forget with Vassal that I need to zoom in, and people are like, hey, how you doing? And if I'm not using OBS, then it's not super fine detail in terms of, particularly if it's streamed, right? So it doesn't, I think the res is less than 720, so it doesn't look as crisp. And it wasn't until I started using OBS that it made it a little bit better. But I'd just rather use the map. I mean, I can get 4K live. I can get a 4K stream or recording, and everything looks great. I can zoom in and control all that, and I have a lot more fun with that.
No, it's true.
Messing around with clicking and pointing and fighting the Vassal module and all that sort of nonsense.
Now, I would love if I could do if I like. That's one of the goals for retirement. When I retire, get another house and have it. I would like to have a dedicated gaming area, to have something similar to what Joe has, but have a thing where I could move a camera around anywhere I want, because whatever I'm shooting with, I've got a monitor that I can see what I'm shooting, and then I've got headphones on so I can monitor my audio, and I could literally just, okay, let's move this over here. Okay, all right, drop in here. Then boom, I can pick it back up, so I know my cut points on edits, or I could just have multiple cameras set up like Rob does with Rob's Tabletop World, and then just switch videos live. You know,
I've
and just
always
go
wondered
from there.
how he's done that.
You just have multiple cameras, and then you have it set up on a box, and you could just switch your
But
cameras.
they've got to be
How
real
he's
cameras,
switching.
not
Yes.
webcams.
Yeah,
Like
no, they've
how
got to
he's
be real
switching,
cameras.
right? So he's got one camera pointed at the game, and then he'll switch to a different angle. And I just don't know the technology to do that, right? To switch to the different angles or
Expensive.
whatever he's got going on. I don't have it.
You've got to spend some money. It's a few grand to come up with that, because you want to get like 2 or 3, at least 2 really good cameras, a third one depending on where you put it, if it's overhead or something like that. You don't necessarily want to have an overhead unless you can zoom in, and you still want to have a good camera there, but you have to make sure that you have to know your headlines and everything else, so that way you don't move your head in there unintentionally and block half the view. And that's why you need a monitor, so you can see, which is what he does. He has a monitor across the way where he sees what he's looking at. So
my new space will have, I'm planning on having a top-down camera.
Nice.
So you'll be able to see what's going on, and then I'll have my other camera for the up close, and we'll just, we'll work from that. That's the plan at the moment. I did do one where I live streamed. I stuck the camera on a tripod in the corner. There was 4 of us playing It Never Snows. I had it up so they could see what was going on, and I kind of commented on stuff as it went, but the stream quality wasn't great back then, so not fun.
True. And it also depends. Like here, this thing that I've got here, it's 720. It's not even full HD. Right. So I mean, even if I was to stream through this, OBS is 1920, so it's HD, but it's 1920 1080. It's not 4K. So that's the thing too, is your source and your transport have to be equal. You can have an 8K camera. If you've got 720 definition that's going out, that's all they're getting. That's all the visual is going to be on the other end. And then of course the other things I like to play with is some titling software and stuff like that, so I can have stuff in a can, and then just use a board and just be like, okay, go to camera 1, boom, here's an overlay that it's already pre-populated and it goes in there. That would be cool, but that's all work that's all some money, but it's worth
it's working money, right?
But
why spend
if I'm retired,
on
I'm not going to care.
Camera? See, that's the problem.
What's that, Gimpy?
The spending the money on a high-end camera, you cannot get a camera that will record longer than 29 minutes.
I can.
Right? Not one that, unless it's a dedicated
camera, video camera.
It has
That's
to be
what I use.
So like a GoPro will record until it runs out of storage or battery, right? Your phone will. It'll do that. But if you have a camera like a
DSLR,
Nikon, one of those, it will only record 29 minutes, and it'll stop at that point because of European tax laws, right?
Yeah.
And
that's why you buy a Handycam or a regular video camera. That's what
drove me nuts. I didn't realize that, and I kept getting all these cameras. I'm like, why can't I find a camera that'll record longer than 29 minutes? And that's when I figured out all I had to do with European tax law. And narrowed down the amount of cameras that I was able to get. It has to be a dedicated video camera.
Well, the good
Otherwise,
thing,
it's
Mike,
limited.
is none of us are bald.
Well, I'm bald by choice.
Well, you shave your head. I mean, I have hair. I just choose not to.
Oh my God!
I
I
like
see
to
why
have
you
my
wear
hat.
a hat. Yeah.
No, I like to wear my hat because I always wear a hat. And when wearing headphones, I like to wear a hat. So OBS is great. iPhone 13 Pro is what he uses. So
Because
that's
that
something else
records
too.
at
Is used.
4K.
What's that?
The smartphones now, right? They record at 4K
Oh,
or
yeah.
above.
Yeah,
So
my
there's no
phone's
reason
my
not to.
phone's 4K.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is something else I've considered. It's like, maybe I'll just buy some old iPhones or something like that. Well, old is relative. I mean, old as in used. Yeah, I don't need it for anything. I could just use my Wi-Fi.
How are you going to sync them, bro? Like, you're going to take all that film and then, like, try and line it all up, and that's just stick to different.
And then I'm going to start a Twitch channel, and everyone's going to, like, watch me. And they're going to pay me.
And we'll get 500 million views.
I get 500 million views, and I will make millions of dollars, and I'll be famous. I'll be internet famous.
Free crack cocaine and women. Yeah.
No, that's not going to happen. None of that will. I just, like I said, it's part of the fun. It's part of the hobby, what we do. And, it's an interesting topic. And you know what? We're going to, now that he's here, let's pick this topic back up in a future show, and we'll bring Joe on, and we'll talk about content creation
let's do it.
from a video perspective, as far as what it entails, and because we're doing this, and Joe's chiming in from the chat. But I think having him in here would be really great for all of us, and for all the viewers as well, to understand what goes on with content creation, because there's a
behind the scenes. We'll call it behind the scenes with Stuka Joe.
Yes, it'll be.
I love it.
I sound like half the students about what I'm going to have a Twitch channel, dude. And I'm going to make millions of dollars.
Bro, it's so easy these days, bro. I'm just going to stream 4K.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I'm going to just stream and make money. I'm going to do esports too, man. Watch it.
I'm pro esports. I make $11.
Esports pro, man.
So Stuka has always surprised me. I am surprised he doesn't have like tens of thousands of subscribers. Perfect voice.
This is true.
Does really good job.
If there were 50
Good
million
videos.
people, he probably would.
So there we go. Joe's going to give the studio tour and the breakdown. So we are going to sit down with the Wargaming Spielberg himself, Stuka Joe. We will plan it out next month or the month after, maybe. We'll see what Joe's schedule is, and we'll do that. Now, as far as war games, here to finish this out, we'll get back on topic again because we keep getting derailed. The war games. What's up next for you, Nate?
Definitely Carrier. Hopefully.
The way you said that, you're like, definitely Carrier.
Dude, it's been on my table for over a month, and I've been poking around at it, and I've played through the little demo scenarios, and I've done the whole thing, and it's just... I'm planning on filming Scenario 5. I figure that's far enough to have the majority of the game with enough cut out that I'm not going to blow my little minuscule mind trying to film it. And other than that, I am going to be doing Onus, going to be doing some lock and load tactical, the Heroes of the Bitter Harvest, and there was something else that I had got sent, and I can't remember what it is. And the Julius Caesar will be up very soon because I want to get that up before they finish their Kickstarter. So that one will be probably the next thing that I actually get up.
Very good. What about you, Kev?
So, Carrier. I will try and carry on with that as far as I can, and we'll see what happens. I've got turn 1 started on the next war of Iran playtest on Vassal.
Nice.
I'm going to capture images of that stuff. It won't be video though, so it'll be blog based, I think. I've obviously got 4 videos coming on that anyway. And then I need to cycle back to, oh my gosh, I can't remember the name. First Victories, Lock and Load Publishing. So I've got that Napoleonics game. I'm going to do Vermerio for that. So I've actually got David Heath's copy, and I'm feeling guilty about only having played 1 battle. So I've got to get that second battle for him. And then I have a whole bunch of other stuff, all the Twilight stuff and war stories, and I want to do a little bit of goofing around with that and write some narrative stuff.
When is when is Blood and Fury coming out?
Oh,
coming
did you
in-
see that the prototypes are in? So he got the
Yeah.
final prototypes in today. So I guess they'll be showing those off this weekend online probably. And I think then we're close. They've got to push the print button. So it's going to be a couple of months.
Yeah.
That's one I told him. I was like, I want a copy as soon as possible. I'm gonna beat his ass if he.
Well,
doesn't
look at
send
you,
me one.
greedy boy.
Wow, you want a copy?
Wow.
I
Look
want a
at you.
copy.
Yes.
You will
I
give
want
me
a
a
really-
copy.
I am
Is that how
owed a
you say
copy.
it?
How about
You
you buy
use
a
your
copy?
manners.
No,
You use your manners.
I am going to be filming a lot of World of War 85. That one is one of my favorites. I always love that one. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Blood and Fury coming out.
What an ass kisser. Unbelievable.
Come on, you loved Storm in the Gap just like I
That
did.
Of
right
course,
there.
Of course, I love it. I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah.
And if you get a prototype copy before me, I'm going to be pissed.
Now, I will
He's
say
only
right here,
got so many he
Alistair.
can send out. Those
Alistair
prototypes
is
are
the
expensive.
thief right here. He is the big
Yeah.
thief right here because he got the he bought Storm in the Gap at the 50% off sale.
Yep.
You get that game at a 50% off sale, you are a thief. You got a deal and a half on that. So
Exactly.
that's a fantastic grab.
Well, you
So what about
remember
you, Mo?
that WBC we went to? That was the game everyone kept coming back to. Everyone
Yes.
kept coming
Right.
back to
Right.
seeing that. I
It
actually
was.
still have the prototype of Storm in the Gap, like from 5 years ago, 6 years ago, whenever it was when we were at that convention.
Yeah, that was
To-
when we shot the
The round table thing.
we also shot the talk about what was that other game I keep forgetting the name of that they were going to do.
Contact Now.
No, not that one. The other one, the Australian game. Kev, we talked about it last time, and I continually forget the name of it. Someone will remember it. But Compass Expo, I will be there in November. I am not planning on going in May. Too expensive to go twice in 1 year, so I'm going to just go in November. I'm not going to be able to do it in May.
I'll tell you what, $62.50 for Storm in the Gap is not bad,
That is super cheap.
especially
That's
for
awesome.
the amount of gameplay that you get in that one.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yep.
Speaking of
Yep.
which, I was surprised at Bitter Harvest coming with the solitaire expansion, like in the core box itself. That
Yeah.
one.
It also has all those data cards, which I kind of
Yeah.
wish they didn't. But
Yeah, that too. That's a lot of gameplay actually in a single box. Good value depending on how much he's charging for it.
There is one in November. There is one in May, Joe, and there's also the regular Compass Expo, which is November on Veterans Weekend. So that is the one I normally go to.
If it
So-
wasn't in
so
Corrupticate, it'd be all right to go to.
So I hate to be a party pooper, but I actually have a telephone call
Oh,
with Australia in 2 minutes. So I need to roll.
oh,
So I'm going to let you guys wrap up
okay.
so that I can hit that. And I'm sorry for cutting out quickly.
You go bail out on deal with your Aussie call. We'll close it
Thanks,
out
guys.
here.
All the best. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Great.
Yeah,
See you
have a
next
good night,
time.
everybody.
Later.
Bye.
See ya. So
The
CSW, is in
CSW,
May.
that is different. That's Consim World, and that is August. Yes.
Oh.
But Compass
He's
Expo.
thinking Compass, yeah.
So Compass Expo is normally November, which it's still going to be, but there's also a Compass Expo that is now in May. So they're doing it twice a year. And then CSW Dallas, no, there's not going to be a CSW Dallas. There will not be this year a CSW Dallas, which is Consim World Dallas, because John Kranz lives in the area. We have one here local, and there's not going to be one this year. So unfortunately, with the Compass Expo in May, he's just not going to have enough time to get that done. Plus all the stuff he's working on with Compass games and stuff like that. So he's not going to be able to do that. Unfortunately, this year, maybe next year. Plus the prices of renting places has gotten so expensive, for a con. So
Someone
that
was
also plays
asking,
into it.
if I was going to be going to any, and I can't answer that until after some more stuff is going on. I actually have an EKG tomorrow morning. I'm going to the hospital for that one. So until I get some more answers on that, I'm kind of
Yeah.
in a holding pattern.
Well, you need to study hard all night long.
I offered to, have her help me with that, exercise the old ticker a little bit. I don't think she was game.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm sure everything will be all right with that, and that's what we're all hoping for.
I'm
But
not expecting anything bad.
yeah. So yeah, in the future though, we will, like I said, we will get Stuka Joe on here. We'll talk about his setup and talk about video content creation. Maybe we'll see if we get maybe another one or two content creators in here as well. Maybe have a little content creator roundtable. Maybe even not on a Tuesday night. Maybe we'll do it on a Friday night or something. We'll figure it out, and we'll just have like a what it's like to be doing video and why we do certain things the way we do based on funds, interest level for us, what we like to do, what we don't like to do, things like that.
Can we get Becca Scott to come? That'd be great. I'd be down for that.
Yeah, I'm on board with that too. I think everybody's on board with that. We'll get that over on the Twitch channel. That's going to make me millions of dollars.
I don't think the wife would be happy with that one.
See, even Joe likes that.
Doesn't like that. Good looking.
No, he likes that idea.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Who wouldn't like that idea?
Yeah, well, that's true. This is true. Becca Scott, yes. So, yeah, as far as, that stuff, I think that'll be interesting to talk about. And as always, we really appreciate you guys tuning in and being part of this. This is why we keep doing it. And we enjoy having these chats, even when we get a little derailed like we did tonight about video and stuff like that. But next time, there was a topic, one of the topics we were going to cover tonight, which we didn't really cover because we got sidetracked with video stuff, was going to be like games we don't like and why. So that'll be something we'll cover next month, and that'll just hit on different types, whether it's specific games, game types, mechanics, things like that, or a combination of the above as to why we don't like them.
I see that quickly devolving into publishers we don't like and why.
No. I don't think so, because I think it comes down to there are some games that talk to you, some games that don't. Just like there are some designers that you prefer over other designers for whatever reasons. And everyone has their own individual reason. Just like the viewers, everyone's they're going to say, oh, you're crazy for saying this game is not good. It's like, no, we're not saying it's not good. We're saying we don't like it. And that does not mean it's not good, because not every game is for everybody. And that's why we're fortunate. We have so much, such a wide variety of games out there to attract different people.
Yeah,
because
like that map for, what was that? Frozen Inferno?
Yeah.
I like the cartoonish map, but everyone else hated it.
Yeah, it was definitely not optimal. And I shared, pretty extensively with them as far as my problems with the map and why. And I was pleasantly surprised to hear that they listened and they made some changes. So I give them credit for that. They took feedback. They took positive steps to try to, make wargamers happy, make it a little bit more of little bit more than just a simple intro war game with a map.
Did you see tried to make the Kickstarter they did for that dice tower?
Yeah, I did. That was pretty wild.
The dice tower was cool, but honestly, I thought they were overpriced.
Yeah, they were, and they did. They're going to have a double printed map, so you have whichever side you like. So you can play on, if you want the cartoony map or you want the more realistic map. So, and that's a good point right there. Not good for me for various reasons, because I know that there are some games, people love, like John C was making a joke. He's like, oh yeah, Mo's favorite game, Combat Commander. Not everybody, but a lot of people really love Combat Commander. I don't like that game at all.
That's the card-driven one, right?
It's the card game. It's not even card-driven. It's the card game is what it is. And that's why I don't like it. Which is funny, because I like 65 and I liked 85, and they're similar, but there's differences. And it's just, I think the way it really comes down to a couple of things. Number one is how a game hits you the first time you play it, or the first few times you play it. That sticks with you. First impressions can be everlasting. And if you get a game where, like Combat Commander, when I'm playing it, when I played it solitaire, I didn't care, because I was like, yeah, I'm dumping hands. It didn't really dawn on me fully until I played it opposed. And I was like, man, all I keep doing is dumping my hand because I don't have anything to do. Well, what's the point? that was why I didn't like it.
Yeah,
so
that's right. I hadn't played that one, but remembering your gripes about that one now. Now
other people love it.
Card draws.
Yeah, and other people love it, and I can see why they would love it, and I understand the chaos and the fog of war, the friction that it's trying to model. I just didn't. It just didn't do it for me. Just like Sekigahara is another one that people loved, and I was like, it's a hand management game with really pretty blocks and a beautiful map. It's a gorgeous production. It's just gorgeous, but it really just I could play it without the blocks. I could just be like, I'm moving 3 units here and I'm moving 2 units here. Counters I could have used. And just been like, okay, I've got these cards. I win. It was kind of like that. But again, the common denominator for me a lot of times comes down to cards.
I just like
cards.
watching my girl play that one. Solo.
Cards will just be the type of game that, depending on the game, cards can pull me right out of game very quickly. But that's personal. That's my taste. Other people thrive on that. They love that. So, but yeah, we'll have to hand management commander. That is exactly it, Joe. That is a perfect call on it right there. But we're gonna tie it up here for the night, and we will say goodnight. We will catch you on the next one. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great night, and we'll see you next time. Good night, everybody.